Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, we're going to talk a little bit of Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, the heavyweights. You know, that's where it's at right now. You know, we got a big fight coming on with both of the heavyweights, with Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk, right? In a very important fight, and of course the trilogy match between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. But first, let me give you a little story. Mr. Erickson, right, as an 18-year-old, was sent to prison for life, right? Supposedly killing 2 people, and you know, like I say, 18 years old, sent him for life. Well, it's been found out for about a month ago now that he was innocent. So he was been in jail about 43 years. And innocent, right? So everyone knows that, and he's still in jail as of right now. The governor of that state, and the state is Missouri, the government of that state has this information, has been having this information for weeks now, and he considers it not a priority to get Mr. Erickson out of prison and back to where he should be in life, right? It's not a priority. Right? We know we've got a man in jail innocently 43 years, his whole life, and it's not a priority to get him out of there. This is Missouri. Of course, Mr. Erickson is a black young man. They felt like someone got killed, someone was murdered, so someone had to go to jail, and it was not beyond a reasonable doubt, but he'd been in jail for 43 years. We found out that there's a man in jail 43 years. The governor of Missouri knows that, and it's not a priority. Okay? Just let you know where my mindset could possibly be, you know, going forward in this video. There's things like that that needs to happen quickly. When we find out we made a mistake that bad, then it is a priority, right? It's a priority to get that man out, get that man a house, get that man about 10 million so he could travel the world and enjoy his life. That's what should be happening, but it's not. And they're still trying to figure out how to get him out of prison 30 days later. All right? So that's just something. Anyway, right, another thing I would like to note is Ring Magazine, the same magazine that we understand had those racist emails back in the day calling Al Heyman a nigger and never saying sorry for it. This is why we don't really care about their rankings, but just something that I grazed upon the other day. It was like, you know, they have in the lightweight division, of course, you know, the champion is Teofimo Lopez, but they have Lomachenko as number 1. Lomachenko, who's 14-2. He's lost 2 fights. He's number 1 in the lightweight division. He's above, and number 2 is Ryan Garcia, right? Number 3 is Devin Haney, right? Just to let you know, number 3 is Devin Haney by Ring Magazine. Ryan Garcia is in front of him. The mandatory for Devin Haney, who doesn't want to fight Devin Haney, he's the WBC champion. They have him in front of the champion that he doesn't want to fight. And Lomachenko went and got a franchise title instead of fighting Devin Haney and lost to Teofimo Lopez, and still trying to get Lopez instead of Devin Haney, which would make him, if he beats Devin Haney, he would be able to tell Teofimo Lopez, hey, you can fight me for undisputed. But he won't fight Devin Haney either. We have a franchise title in the lightweight division because Lomachenko doesn't want to fight Devin Haney, and he's in front of Devin Haney in the Ring Magazine. And so is Ryan Garcia. There's just stuff you just see. And it's just blatant in your face. Just want to mention those things before we move on, right? Now, let me mention this. Tyson Fury wants to be 300 pounds when he faces Deontay Wilder, right? He wants to be 300 pounds. We know he can get there. He was 273 last time, right? So he wants to be 300 pounds. So the man wants to be 80 pounds, at least 80. Could be more. Could be 90 when Wilder comes in like at 209. But he tried to come in at 230 last fight. I know he's not going to do that again. So let's say Wilder's at 220. So we're going to give it 80. With a possible 90 pounds difference, right? Then little old Deontay Wilder. Are we still going for this Goliath of a man, right? 80 pounds difference in a fight? That's unprecedented type territory, right? So at this point, normally, if you don't care about either one of these guys, you're going to go for the guy who's 80 pounds less. You know how many weight divisions that is? There's a whole bunch of weight divisions, let me tell you. You know, that's going, I'm talking about weigh and bantam and flyweight all the way up to heavyweight, right? That's the difference that we're trying to have for him to be able to win and maul Deontay Wilder, which I'm sure his plan is, right? Seeing though the cheating might not be, might not be able to do that, everything's going to be under a microscope. So these pounds are going to be able to do it because the same game plan of mauling Deontay Wilder has to be the game plan. I told you that was going to be the game plan before the second one. Let's make sure this is clear when we're talking Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury will get in maul mode, especially when he's in trouble. We saw that at Steve Cunningham. Steve Cunningham knocked him down. He got up and mauled Steve Cunningham. Now, he cheats while he's doing it, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be 250, 260, 70, 80 pounds. When he was against Steve Cunningham, he was probably about 250, 260. Cunningham was about 205, right? So against Deontay Wilder, he wants that same weight disparity. So we'll just see. I just think at that point, 300 pounds, you probably want to go for the little guy that's going to be about 215, 220, probably. Maybe I just want you to note that, for the people who care about things like that. That's pretty awesome. Now, Anthony Joshua's weighed in because Deontay Wilder said, "Hey, if I beat Tyson Fury, I hope you have the same energy to fight me for undisputed, and let's not have no excuses like last time." The excuses he was talking about last time was Povetkin and stuff like that came in. But Anthony Joshua came back and he said, "Hey, look, first of all, what excuses he talking about? I haven't talked about Deontay Wilder, right? That's first. And then, he's also talking about Deontay Wilder is not an elite fighter, right? Well, duh, an elite skill-wise. I think he could have weighed a little different in. He could have said something like, Deontay Wilder is not, he's not that skilled. But, we probably have to put him at elite because normal people don't knock out 40 people. And I'm pretty sure, we could say bums like the people do in the comment section and things like that, but I don't think other boxers should be saying that because I think some of those other fighters that Deontay Wilder beat would give Anthony Joshua a run for his money, right? A couple of them, right, at least, right? That we know Ortiz would, but it's a few other ones. But at the end of the day, he's just saying, hey, he's not an elite fighter, and that's his opinion. I have nothing against that. He's not an elite fighter. Deontay Wilder, we know he's not the most skilled out there, right? So that's okay that he says he's not an elite fighter. He's a one-trick pony. He only has the right hand. Anthony Joshua doesn't feel like when you go into these high elite fighters, then that one weapon is not going to be enough. Now, I just, here's the argument against that is this simple. We're talking about a guy that's bigger than him by 50 pounds, and he gave him a run for his money, especially in the first fight. Had him on the ground twice. So it's not like Tyson Fury is way better than him. And the other ones, I think Luis Ortiz is in the top heavyweights, so he was able to knock him out. By losing both fights before knocking him out, but he was in those fights. So I don't necessarily agree with that, but this is Anthony Joshua's opinion. So my point is simple, that Anthony Joshua, when he talks, is very important because you have to realize you could have been the first one to expose Deontay Wilder, right? All these things, the one-trick pony, and he can't fight an elite fighter, and, he won't be good against the very elite fighters, which it must only mean him and himself and Tyson Fury is who he's talking about when he's saying elite. Because the rest of them, we know that Deontay Wilder can hang with them, right? And I don't know if Anthony Joshua realizes, you better put Andy Ruiz Jr. as an elite fighter because he knocked your ass out, right? And had, you've been hurt by a whole lot of other fighters. I don't know, Povetkin hurt you. So I don't really know, when you're talking about, because at the end of the day, they've both lost. Now, Deontay Wilder lost to the very best fighter out here right now. Andy Ruiz Jr., if you got a good ranking system, he might be a top 5 heavyweight, right? And in the second fight, most people would say, Anthony Joshua, you ran from him. Now, I won't. I think you did what had to happen to win the damn fight. Okay, if I'm not going to knock this fool out, I'm going to outpoint him. And I'm capable of doing that if I have to. I think that's just fighters being smart. I'm not calling Anthony Joshua running from Andy Ruiz on that fight, but he had to do what it was to win the fight. But, Anthony Joshua's talking as if he hasn't been hurt several times and looked vulnerable in several matches and lost already. And some say he quit. I'm not one of those either, but some will say that, right? So that's just the problem that I'm having when Anthony Joshua comes out. But he has to come out and say something. He's a heavyweight, and Deontay Wilder is attacking him, so he's going to retaliate. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna say some stuff. At the end of the day, the main thing he said to me, in my opinion, that was good, because all of that is going back and forth. Because you want to hear, hey, beat Tyson Fury and I'm going to take you. You can come see me. He didn't really say that, but it was kind of like, I don't care who wins between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. We're going to take them all. You know, he said he's been in the ring. Check his resume. He's been in the ring with elite fighters, stuff like that. So, you know, he doesn't just say simply, I'm going to stop talking to Deontay Wilder. I hope he beats Tyson Fury so I can beat him. You don't hear that. You hear him saying, well, even if I, whatever happens with Usyk or whatever, I'm going to fight Tyson Fury no matter what. Right? But he's not saying that about the guy who, who's on him, who wants to be undisputed, wants to fight you. You got to say, I want Wilder. And I don't really hear that. All I hear is, Wilder's not elite and these things. So let's see what happens going forward. I think that Anthony Joshua could show a little bit more energy towards fighting Deontay Wilder. I think that everybody's out here just hoping and praying that he just has no chance against Tyson Fury, right? And letting Tyson Fury do the dirty work, right? I think that everybody should be like, when it comes to Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, we don't give a damn who wins, right? After that fight, we're going to get undisputed. Right? No matter who is undisputed, we will have an undisputed heavyweight champion, and we shouldn't give a damn who that is. Okay, no, that's not true either. Because if you have a favorite, then you should go for whoever your favorite is. If you want it to be Tyson Fury to be undisputed, or Anthony Joshua to be undisputed, or Deontay Wilder, yeah, you can go for them. But at the end of the day, whoever is undisputed, and they will get the utmost respect for doing so. And I think that's where we need to be. Let's see what happens going forward. Bottom line is, Anthony Joshua said Deontay Wilder is not an elite fighter, and I don't care who wins between him and Tyson Fury. I'm taking him, more or less. I'll put the article in the description box. You can see how you think about it. Doma Sports Talk Worldwide. And I'm about to hear y'all.